There was a poster going around where kids could text anonymous strangers to get information about sex. And on this poster in school, want to get laid? There is a push for pleasure-based sex. Pleasure for who?
Hello and welcome to this new video. In Masculine Academy channel, we provide you all the tools to become your best version. Today we are reviewing the debate on the Jubilee channel between conservative parents and liberal teachers. Let's dive in.
At the end of the day, my job is not just to make your kid to feel comfortable. I got 55 students. I got to make 55 students feel comfortable. And so when your kid comes home and tells you, well, Mom, the teacher said, what's my pronouns? Yeah, I did say what's your pronoun. I also said, what's your favorite TV show? What's your favorite food? You know, again, I have too many students to push an agenda. I do my job, what they pay me to do.
Today in American schools, the vast majority of teachers are liberal. And unfortunately, it's not balanced. And what's happening today is that a lot of teachers are pushing gender identity on children. You can see that this specific teacher was saying that he's not pushing any type of ideology on children. And at the same time, he's saying that he's asking for the children pronouns in the classroom. Thinking that someone's sex and gender are different, that's definitely an ideology. And this is why this person is asking the pronouns. Another challenge is that these teachers are stuck in an echo chamber because all of them think the same way and they are all buying into the liberal ideas of gender identity, and no one is there to actually rational them on the other side of the debate. And what tends to happen is that they are stuck in an echo chamber and they will keep repeating the same rhetoric all the time. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is it acceptable in any society to brainwash kids into dreadful and dangerous ideologies?
There was a high school down the street from where I live in Los Angeles that encouraged all the kids of color to apply for their school play. And only once all the kids of color received whatever positions they wanted, then the white kids could apply. That, in my opinion, is an example of discrimination. The fact that we now have Harvard has black-only kids' dorms, that to me is segregation.
Let me put it this way. Hiring black people before white people or other people because of the color of their skin, this is racism. And this is what Martin Luther King was fighting against when he said, I want people to judge me based on the content of my character and not the color of my skin. This is exactly the contrary to what is happening today in America. And you will see more and more again this type of example when even the top universities like Harvard are discriminating against people based on their race. And this is totally fine for these people that are preaching about tolerance. But they are the first one to discriminate others based solely on the color of their skin. When it comes to discrimination, we will always talk about black people as minorities. But there's one minority that no one talks about. It's the Asian people. But the thing is that because Asian people have strong families, strong communities, and better values, better culture, they are performing much better than any other people in America. And it is sad to see that the minorities like the Asian minority is never talked about. And sadly, they are actually discriminated against to go to college. If you're Asian today and you have the very same result that another black person, you have less chance to go to college solely based on the color of your skin. And that should never be acceptable. I have a great news for you. Today, I'm launching this amazing dating course. Check it out.
Attention, men. Tired of not getting dates? Welcome to Masculine Academy, where we reveal the secrets to land unlimited dates. Learn how to leverage Instagram and use AI to boost your chances of getting dates. Join Masculine Academy today.
People think that this is just kind of happening, it's a one-off. It is in so many schools. Where I live in Florida, there was a poster going around where kids could text anonymous strangers to get information about sex. And on this poster in school, want to get laid?
Wow.
I mean, it's beyond, and there is a push for pleasure-based sex. Pleasure for who?
It is very clear that there's an agenda to corrupt children. And this is also an agenda for hypersexualization of children. And this has been going on for quite some time. And the thing is that we know fair well that if we keep exposing children to sexual images, sexual videos, and sexual IDs, their brain is going to be corrupt. And this is why they keep doing it. Because the vast majority of people not identifying with their sex at birth have multiple mental disorders. And when you study the history of gender ideology, it is based on pedophile men that were seeking sexual pleasures with children. And despite this fact, the teachers keep pushing this ideology based on people that were pedophile back then. And we have to ask ourselves, is it positive for the children? It is not. And we can see it in the number of children that commit suicide, unfortunately. If you're getting value in this video, let us know by clicking on the like button and subscribe for more similar content.
I have a family member who first day of 6th grade was asked for her pronouns, and she stood up and said that as a person of faith, she believed that God didn't make a mistake making her a girl, and so therefore she identified as a she, her, and she was sent to the principal's office and punished for that decision. Thankfully, we haven't seen that broadly yet, but I think it's really damaging to take a shy, innocent 11-year-old child and make them stand in front of a classroom and determine something that they maybe haven't even put that much thought into.
It is always the side that preaches to be tolerant that are the most intolerant. Because the child does not agree with the ideology of gender identity, then this child is being sent to the principal office. But I would say that this is child abuse and should never be tolerated in a developed country. And what they are pushing on children is to have different children that look different, that wear different type of clothes, but that we think the very same way. And this is the contradiction with diversity. It is never diversity of point of view. It's always diversity of different aspects, but kids thinking the very same ideas.
College is where I started getting a curiosity for truth and education, and I think I'm so passionate about the education system today because it is obviously broken, but how do we fix it? Many of these progressive ideas in fixing it is just more empathy, sympathy, safety, but in reality I see the public school system isn't actually accomplishing the goal of what education is, which is teaching critical thinking, how to understand, how to ask good questions, and then comprehend how to problem solve.
The goal of the public school is to teach how to think, not what to think. But at the same time, you can see that the goal of the school is to create good employees. And for that, you need them not to be too clever, too smart. And when you have a classroom and you are actually just preparing them to be employees, it is very easy to manipulate them because you will never teach them critical thinking. You will teach them to embrace an ideology, but not having the ability to criticize this ideology.
If you are uplifting a person or you are trying to suppress a person because of their race, that is racism. So we're supposed to believe that someone like Barack Obama's children are like struggling because they're black? Like, that's ridiculous.
It's actually interesting to highlight that the statistic, if you're a black person in the UK, descendant from an African family, you will perform much better than the average person, even the white average person. However, if you're a black person, descendant of Caribbean people, you will perform way worse. So it is not based on the color of your skin, but it is based on your attitude, on the culture, and what makes you climb the ladder in terms of status in this culture. If burning cars, being a thug, being a drug dealer makes you climb the ladder, this is exactly what men are going to do. If climbing the ladder is about studying hard, achieving, going to the right university, and getting a high-paying job, this is exactly what men are going to look for. Because men go for status, because status allows them to get women. And when you think about it, even in the US, back in the 60s, the black community was the community with the highest rate of married couple. And unfortunately today, it is the other way around. And this is due to toxic culture that is being propagated in the black community. It is very simple. Fix fatherlessness in the black community. Fix the culture. And you will see that the kids are going to achieve much better than other kids.
Why don't we look at the families, the black families, who have done those amazing things in this country and study what they did to succeed instead of just focusing on, oh, well, black people are behind and we don't even know what to do. Well, why don't we just go and look? Since you are a professor, wouldn't that be, you go and look at what has worked?
Well, I would never just go to you and just look at you. Again, and I'm sorry, it's just the reality of the data. And so what I share...
Data can be broken up in umpteen different ways.
No, it can't.
Yes, it
No,
can.
actually, I just give
You're a
the data.
professor and you're saying
That's
that
why I
data
give
cannot be
data.
manipulated?
I don't
This is why
manipulate
my
data.
kids do not go
I
to
don't-
public
I
school
don't-
anymore.
I don't, and I'm glad they don't.
This professor is actually very funny. He keeps talking about data. But data can easily be manipulated. Data can be misunderstood as well. It's very easy to manipulate and transform the data in the way that fits your narrative. For example, a few years ago, there was an interesting story. It is called the Grievance Studies Affair. It is where a few professors pretended that they were writing good papers to be peer-reviewed, when actually it was just a bunch of nonsense. Some of their papers have been accepted and peer-reviewed and published in the scientific literature. And when you think about it, even peer-reviewed paper sometimes can be just bullshit. And this is why when you're looking at studies, you need to be careful about the context. And even peer-reviewed studies do not guarantee the results that you expect it to be. Let me read you some of it. So there was one study called Human Reaction to Rape Culture and Queer Performativity at Urban Dog Parks in Portland. The study purported to observe dogs having sex and how their owners reacted to draw conclusions about humans' sexual attitude. That's crazy. Secondly, who are they to judge? Overcoming anthropometry through fat bodybuilding. So some of the suggestions were far-reaching, going as far as to suggest that the Olympics make a separate event for overweight people called the Fatty Olympics. These studies were accepted and peer-reviewed. Be careful of the data. Be careful of what we called the science.
It's just interesting to think that we are always told, like, teachers are heroes, they're teaching the youth of America, but also, we're not gonna give you enough money to survive comfortably. Like, you're gonna struggle every day. There have been days when I go to work and I'm like, am I gonna have money to put gas in my car? I guess we're gonna find out, right? And I know so many other teachers who are struggling to keep afloat. I can't even think about having a family as a teacher.
This is quite a complex question, but economy is the management of scarce resources. And fortunately today, there are a lot of people that want to be teachers. There are a lot of people that want to teach kids and also to have the ability to go on holidays about 12 weeks a year. If there are so many people that want to do that specific job, then this job is not going to be well paid because too many people can do it. And this is the difference between well-paid jobs and low-paid jobs. In a totally open society, the price of the teacher will be based on the demand and offer. We are now living in a society where the government is actually paying the teacher, so it's the government's responsibility to potentially increase their salary because teachers today are a great asset for tomorrow.
Well, I'll go first. My daughter, same teacher actually, who was asking about her pronouns. She said that she was going to be introducing some race-themed books. My daughter recorded this conversation in class. So what proceeded to happen is she started to talk to the children in their, I guess, identity groups. Oh, as an African-American child, how are you discriminated against? As an Asian child, she went through all of except white people. It became total chaos in the classroom. There was no education going on here. They were just literally going at each other, talking about who was more oppressed. It's not a matter of if something was racist, it's a matter of when something was racist or how the racist thing happened. So they automatically assume, critical race theorists, that racism is embedded into every single thing.
This is pure indoctrination. It's basically the pursuit of the victimhood status. In this classroom, the more victim you are, the more things that are negative about you, the higher you are in the classroom. And that's dreadful for the kids. That will not incite them to become better or even give them the chance that even if you're a black kid, you can perform as much or even better than other kids. That put them at a huge disadvantage because they know deep down, because of what they've been taught, is that they cannot compete whatever they do with other kids. And that's condemning this kid to a dreadful future. When you're looking for something, you will always find it. For example, they've done this experiment where they put someone in front of a screen with different dots coming. Blue, purple, blue, purple, purple, blue, alternating between the two colors. And then they started to reduce the blue, so more purple. And interesting enough, the kids were reporting the same numbers of purple and blue that initially, because they were expecting this very same result. If you expect something, if you expect racism walking out of your house, this is exactly what you will perceive. If you expect sexism walking out of your house, this is exactly what you will get as well. If you want to see a similar debate on the Jubilee channel between the male feminists against the female anti-feminists, check out this video. That was great debate.